I don't know if anybody can relate or have ever had this particular experience, but have you ever had that time in your life when you were in school where a big test was coming up for whatever subject, if it was math, for example? You studied your ass off that entire week. You were up all night, you were in the books, you were doing those little pamphlets of practices for the exam, trying to get your grade up, extra credit, or whatever. But when that Friday hit, the day that the exam was supposed to happen, after all this studying, you realize, oh, it was just canceled. So the exam, that studying for that exam was literally all for nothing. So that was something that not only did I hate then, but if there's one thing that I do hate when I'm watching movies is when common sense is being broken in order to progress further. That's all I gotta say. Just watch the fucking thing.
Mist.
Oh, I thought about to mention
The
something
Mist.
else. Okay.
The Mist
I
is based
remember
off of
this.
Stephen King's novel, which the movie takes place in Maine. Gee, what a fucking shocker, right?
Right.
Wow.
Now, the premise of this film is actually really good, and what its subject matter dwells on. To see,
Right.
this film revolves around members of a small town in Maine, who, after a severe thunderstorm, it causes the power to go out. Therefore, when they go to the supermarket to get some supplies for stock up, they notice a huge mist, like a fog or mist, coming towards their way. It's unlike anything they've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're trying to survive, it engulfs this entire town, and within the mist contains these ruthless, vicious, like H.P. Lovecraft type monsters.
Yeah.
And tensions rise among the people, and they try to do whatever they can to survive. Now, plot-wise, premise-wise, yes. And the one thing Alder that is trying to go for is fear of the unknown. You can't
Correct.
see very far.
Mhm.
You don't
Which
know
is
what's
also
going on.
something that's very Lovecraftian.
Premise-wise, yes, it has great potential. And this is from director Frank Darabont.
Bless.
Are you done?
Harry.
You done?
Damn it.
Fuckface ogre butthole. As I was, premise-wise, it has tons of potential. However, execution-wise, this is one of the stupidest, illogical, dumbest fucking movies I have ever seen in my life.
Oh boy.
And this is from Frank Darabont, the man who brought you masterpieces like The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, and brought The Walking Dead
The
on
pilots
television.
of The Walking Dead, one of the greatest pilots I've ever seen.
And he also wrote films like, the remake of The Blob, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and others.
He also
This guy-
wrote the 2014 Godzilla, wrote a draft of it.
What the fuck was he thinking? And I love some people's responses like, oh, it's like how people will react in terms of tensions like this. How about, fuck you, I'm here to watch a motherfucking movie. And one of the main things I look for when it comes to a movie is logic and common sense. And Jesus H. Christ, this movie has neither.
I've said it
These
before.
characters are like on the fucking Purge level of stupidity.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna go that far. but
No,
I'm ready to.
fuck that. These people are beyond fucking retarded. Thomas Jane's in this grocery store, and here's one of the bad guys of the clerks. He's like, I need to go and turn the breakers on or the backup generator. And Thomas Jane's like, no, don't do it. You're going to get killed. And what does he do? Oh, yada, yada. He's just walking up to this fucking backup generator, starts the thing on and shit. The door opens, and what happens? A fucking technical comes under, grabs his ass, and kills him. And while he kills him, like, no one's helping him. Just two guys are just looking and staring at him like a fucking modern art masterpiece or some stupid shit. They could have saved him, but no. They just rather stand and stare like if it's a fucking Nicholas Winding Refn movie. And then you have the visual effects.
Oh, they suck.
Oh, no.
Even I can agree on that one.
Dude, this looks like something that Mystery Science Theater would fucking mock.
You said
This is some fucking
riff track?
sci-fi. This is some
Riff track?
sci-fi channel shit. That's how awful it looks.
fucking Tales from the Crypt won't want to touch it.
Seriously, like with the tentacles and some of the spiders and all shit. This looks beyond awful. I'm like, this came out in 2007. How can it look this fucking bad? This entire fucking movie, I was yelling out loud, "What are you doing? Why are you fucking stupid?" Everything the characters did was stereotypical horror film cliche up the ass. Now let's talk about the worst fucking character in the movie.
Okay.
The religious fanatic.
Oh God.
Comedy. She's in the role of like a prophet of the Lord, you know, claiming her faith gave her divine protection against the monsters, right?
Yeah.
And there's a scene where the monsters try to break into the store. You know, some of them is, like I said, awful CG, and some people are just looking like, oh, and they let them kill them because they're fucking stupid. And all of a sudden, one of the fucking bugs jumps on the bitch's chest, ready to kill her. But that monster discovers, oh wait, she's a prophet, she's a religious fanatic, and spares her, which turns her into this fucking cult fanatic leader, and people are starting to follow her. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? To the point where they're offering sacrifices to the monster. I'm like, that's not very Christian-like. This movie shoves religion down your fucking throat like no other. I'm just like, and the way they depict it, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck you. And these people follow her like mindless zombies, even to the point where they were going to sacrifice the main character's 10-year-old son.
Yeah.
So one of the other characters had a gun. What does he do? Shoots the bitch twice and kills her. I was like, why couldn't you do that before? And I was thinking, oh, if she does that, maybe the brainless fanatics that follow her are going to go after her. No, after they killed her, they just went back to normal. They don't follow her anymore. They're like, oh, we came to our senses.
I forgot about a lot of
I've said it so many times. Whenever I watch a movie, dude, one of the biggest things of making a story work and make sense is having logic, common sense, reasoning why it should work. But if your movie is literally and deliberately breaking those barriers just in order to make progression, then your movie's not going to do
that. Is one of the things that pisses me off about a movie so fucking much, is where characters and their fucking stupidity moves the plot forward.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, and by the way, there are some parts where we're wondering what happens if you go out to the mist, and this woman near the beginning of the movie, she's like, I need to find my 2 kids. I want to go out there. And they let her out. She walks, you know, regularly into the mist, and you never see her again. Or do you? So, and then they did like a test to see what happens. And they tie these ropes around them, and they go out, and almost every single one of them gets fucking annihilated. One gets half of his body just ripped apart. I'm just like, what the fuck did you think it was going to happen when you got the warning earlier? And then we understand why these things show up in the first place. And you want to talk about cliches and stereotypes? Holy shit. During the storm, the personnel at the base were able to successfully open a portal to another dimension. However, a lightning from the storm struck the base, causing the machine to overlord and the mist and the creatures inhabiting to pour throughout out of the portal into the dimension and out into the town. So it's the government. That's why it's doing all this shit. Hey, Frank Darabont, you did that for the Blob. It doesn't work very much anymore. And what did they do to that guy? Oh, let's just offer him to the monsters, because that's a sure way to figure things out. Other than, I don't know, the more people, the merrier. To help solve your problems. Oh, these fucking people. And then we get to the ending.
Yeah, the ending is.
Oh,
I'm not kidding you, folks. If I had to make a top 10 worst endings of all time, this film would be on there.
Oh, yeah. It's
shit.
The point of this ending, it was Frank Darabont. It was his attempt to create something a bit more definitive. An ending that would not only stick with the viewers, but leave them feeling the primal horror of the mist after the credits roll. Stop right there. Just because it's memorable doesn't mean that it's good. And I'm about to get into that. And Darabont wanted to impart a similarly agonizing lesson. It's his dark answer to the Shawshank Redemption, which is about the value of hope. The Mist is about the cost of losing it. And in turn, it's about the fact that it's not just man who might be the monster, it's you. By doing stupid shit. And then you got, fucking two-faced monsters like Stephen King himself, which, by the way, the book is ending far different than the movie. He praised the ending for its apathy towards Hollywood's love affair with happy endings. And he says, and I quote, "It was so anti-Hollywood, anti-everything, really. It was so nihilistic. Fuck off."
Yeah, just the same guy who shits on a masterful film like The Shining.
Like The Shining. And he he supported this one bullshit. They try to redo The Shining or something like that, and it was awful. The large percentage of the fucking movie-going audience hated this. They hated the ending.
They did.
Why? Let's explain what the fuck happens, okay? Oh my god. This is, beyond...
It's literally the definition of a fuck you ending.
Okay, our protagonist, David, played by, the Punisher. I'm just gonna call him that.
Thomas Jane.
Yeah. David, he escapes the grocery store that has been trapped in there, along with his young son, 10-year-old son, and 3 others. They get into a car, into his vehicle, and they start driving through the mist, hoping to escape from the monster-infested mist. They go pretty far beyond the car. They find out that his wife ends up dying. Shocker. She got wrapped up in some Spideys. So, oops, there we go.
My worst nightmare.
Okay, so they get pretty far before the car runs out of gas, and yet they're still surrounded by the mist. And the monsters are getting larger because there's a huge monster out there, but they didn't spot them, right? Knowing that they'll be violently ripped to shreds soon. I don't know why would they think that, because it doesn't look like there's a monster anywhere in sight. David does the merciful thing, and he has a gun, but only 4 bullets, and there's 5 people. So, what does he do? He ends up getting the gun, and he shoots not only his 10-year-old son, but the other 3 people in the head to spare their lives from from reaching a terrible fate and what else they're doing, the unbearable, okay? And he doesn't have 1 bullet left, and he's trying to pull the trigger on himself. I'm just like, hey, dumb shit, you know how to fucking count, right? And then he goes outside, and his acting couldn't be any more hokey or over the fucking top here. He's like screaming, "Take me, take me!" Not even a minute or so after he kills his own son and the people, the mist all of a sudden clears up, and you see armies and tanks riding behind him. And remember that woman? That woman who's like, I gotta find my son, before something happens. She went out to the mist in the beginning of the movie. She's alive and she found her 2 kids. I'm like, how the fuck is that possible?
You want to know what this movie's definition of? And this was a comment I saw, and I'm going to quote it. The ending to the mist is literally when you have to do a extremely long essay for school that the teacher gives you, and when you actually get it done, the next day she tells you it was just optional.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, so like I said, not even a minute later, the entire United States Army rolling up in multiple tanks. There's multiple army guys with guns, flamethrowers, and like army vehicles holding, the innocent, saving people. And I'm like, what? And then the movie ends with him on his knees saying, screaming like, oh, if you only can wait for 1 more minute, they will all have been saved and their devs have died in vain. First of all, why would you just fucking kill them? Why would he do that when it goes against everything about his main character? Especially when he's saving his son throughout the whole fucking time. You keep fucking going, you keep surviving until you know it's the end. And then a minute this is fucking irony. It's irony, it's weak, it is pathetic. It's The Mist. That fucking Frank Darabont movie. And I'm just like, it's irony for irony's sake. It's fucking cheap. It's not earned. It's this pathetic tragedy farce. It's so... Alex, say it with me. This is the definition of forced and contrived.
Forced and contrived. Forced and contrived. That's right.
I mean, all of a sudden you got...
And what was the lesson? Oh, patience is a virtue. So how about don't blow your fucking kids' brains out?
I think
here's
that's
the
a
other thing.
lesson
It's like,
I'll take home.
well, sucks to be you. It was to the point where it was comical.
I like comedy.
And the tragic ending to The Mist is meant to criticize the complete rejection of faith.
Well, all of a sudden, you're at your job, and all of a sudden the boss tells you that, oh, there's a big meeting happening the next day, so I want you to study up.
Some of the people who defend this, they're going to say, oh, you just don't like bleak endings. You're like, okay, I have great examples for you. John Carpenter's The Thing, Of Mice and Men, Night of the Living Dead, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the remake, The Fly, Uncut Gems, Sinister.
I fucking love Sinister's ending.
You know what this movie was like? Remember the ending of Mice and Men where he had no choice but to kill him, to spare him, because they were all coming after him. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, here comes the sheriff. He's like, "Well, I just found a card saying that he's innocent. Oh, he's killed. Oh well." And they walk away. That's the meaning to The Mist.
Man.
Fuck this movie. Fuck everything about it, from its stupidity to its awful visuals to the dumbass character and plot devices and that motherfucking ending. That is just beyond bullshit. It's nothing but irony, cheap shit. This movie's a fucking F. I can't believe I'm saying this about a Frank Darabont film because his 2 films were masterpieces.
Not everyone can be a winner.